and welcome to this edition of News Leader on 6. I'm Andrew Todd. In tonight's news, Tullahoma Wildcats coach John Olive tells us about the bye week and next week's game against Marshall County. The TWRA are trying to help save an endangered bat, and Confederate Railroad will be playing a free concert on Monday night. We'll have all these stories and more on tonight's News Leader on 6.
The food at Parkview, well, I haven't had a bad meal there yet.
The food at Parkview is absolutely scrumptious. I mean, it is really good. It's just like home cooking.
And then there are the cookies. Oh my, they bake cookies every day, and they are super.
The food is truly incredible, and it's like being on a cruise ship.
We're losing it, Doctor.
Not on my shift. Quickly, brush. Roller.
What a transformation. It's gonna be okay.
Okay, nothing.
At Paintworks of Tullahoma, we specialize in domestic emergencies with Martin Senior Paints. You can be the paint doctor too when you treat your home with Martin Senior interior and exterior finishes.
Doctor, we've got another one.
Got you covered.
Paintworks of Tullahoma. Come see the paint doctor, Stat.
Times are very challenging right now, and stress levels are high.
Reports indicate overdoses on the rise in communities across the state of Tennessee.
Those experiencing addiction and their loved ones may be struggling to navigate through all the change.
We want you to know that deaths from overdose are preventable.
And help is available.
Anytime.
Day or night.
How do I know?
How do I know?
I am the face of recovery
in Tennessee.
My husband was diagnosed with a spinal infection. He lost his ability to swallow and the movement of his legs.
I couldn't turn over in bed, I couldn't walk, I couldn't eat.
They were just wonderful in the treatment and care they gave my husband.
I regained my mobility where I was able to go home.
It is miraculous.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Welcome back. News Leader's John Gray spoke with Tullahoma Wildcats coach John Olive about the bye week and the next game against Marshall County.
Coach, next week we have a bye week.
We have a bye week. Through the bye week, every game we play from here on is region.
Yes.
And when we drew the region schedule out, we drew this as our bye week out of the hat. And so anyway, we'll practice. We actually go back over to Manchester and play a JV game at 5 o'clock, and then we play a freshman game at 6:30. And
what day is that?
That'll be Monday.
In
Manchester again. And the varsity, we'll have our regular Monday practice. We'll start getting ready for Marshall County. We have played them quite often here for the last few years. And so therefore we know quite a bit about what we need to be able to stop, what we have to be able to execute, and we'll start working on that on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That'll be our practice agenda, and then we're going to turn our young men loose Thursday and Friday, and we'll reconvene on Monday, Labor Day, because we're playing a ball game that Friday, so we'll practice Labor Day morning.
It'll be a home game.
Be a home game. Finally get to be at home. So Marshall County at home on September the 10th.
Okay, and Marshall County last night, let's see, we beat Shelbyville 28-14. They beat them 21-7.
21-14.
21-14, excuse me, that's right. So, you know, they're playing good football as well.
Marshall County is a really good football team. We went over and watched them play Columbia last week on Friday. And
they won that ball.
They did. They're 2-0, and they're a tough, solid football team. They're tough, hard-nosed defense, and offensively they've had to change up just a little bit. They lost their quarterback in the first ball game. They've taken a really good athlete and put him back there at quarterback, and by the time they get to us, he'll have 2 games under his belt.
Very good. All right. So that's what we've got going on there, folks, and we won't be having a new game next Saturday. So what we'll do, because we can, and it's so much fun, for us here in Tullahoma, we will replay the coffee pot game next week in this time slot. So, sorry about that, Coffee County, but we just can't help ourselves. I know your time's never free time, but maybe it won't be quite as crunchable as it is most of the time this next week.
Well, it'll help out, and hopefully I'll get to see some of the other sports, as we have all of our fall sports going now. Cross country's up at the Hermitage today, running their first real track meet or cross country meet. Volleyball is doing very, very well. They're battling in every contest, and they've won more than they've lost. Girls soccer is just getting cranked up, and I wish we could play offense like they do. They have absolutely crushed two opponents this past week. So it's a good time. It's a good time of the year. It's on. Hopefully start cooling off a little bit.
Yeah.
And middle school football is going, middle school volleyball is going, middle school girls soccer is going. It's just a good time to be out there. If you're looking for something to do, go support these young people, and that's how we pay for our athletic program, is by people buying a ticket and going in and watching these young people participate, space out,
eat a burger,
eat a burger, but space out, get away from people that you're not normally around. Let's try to keep this virus from exploding in our community any worse than what it already has, and hopefully we get to keep the gates open and keep getting people to come in and enjoy watching these young people perform. And the band, I'm sure, is getting ready to start their contest season. So it's an exciting time. It's good to have things as close to normal as we can make it. I think that's crucial to these young people. It may be crucial to us adults too, now that I'm thinking about it, but it's crucial to these young people that things get back to being as normal as they can possibly be for them.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
I had a knee replacement, so they've got me at Life Care, which I'm very, very thankful for. I couldn't garden, I couldn't do my flower beds, I can't chase my little dogs. I have been in several therapy sessions for knees and back, and that's the best therapist I believe I've ever been to. It's tremendous because I'm able to walk again, but if it wasn't for the care, I wouldn't be where I am.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
Clayton's has been Tullahoma's shoe store for over 120 years, and Florence Hall continues that tradition today. We're the only shoe store in town that starts with measuring your foot to make sure you get the perfect fit in a quality shoe. That includes narrow through wide widths for men, women, and children. Clayton Shoes, the family shoe store you'll love.
We're gonna fit your style. We're gonna make you smile. Service and quality at Clayton Shoe Store. We're gonna fit your style.
The individuals with dementia, those with Parkinson's, those that have maybe mobility issues, need caregivers. Well, those caregivers are 24 hours a day at home, and they never get a rest. And if they have to go to work, they're kind of out of luck. So that's why Trinity came into existence 25 years ago, to allow the caregivers to have a safe center where they could put their loved ones, know they would be well cared for, stimulated, fed good nutritious meals, have activities to their level, and then the caregiver can stop by and pick them up and go on home and have some continuity into their life.
What does caring look like? This is what caring looks like.
This is setting an example for others.
This is rising to the challenge.
This is doing what works.
This is doing my part.
This is doing your part.
Each of us individually.
Acting as one.
Keeping your distance, no matter how awkward it may seem.
This is wearing a mask.
Over your nose and mouth.
Like we are.
Keeping our distance.
Each wearing masks.
Not under your chin.
Not above your head. Not in your hand.
But over your nose and mouth.
This is listening to the expert. If you'll just
wear one of these.
Caring makes community.
And this is what caring looks like.
until COVID-19 is no longer a threat.
Until COVID-19 is no longer a threat.
Until COVID-19 is no longer a threat.
Welcome back. Now we return to the Lunch and Learn, where we hear about why cicadas come out in such huge numbers.
So maybe you're wondering why in the world do so many cicadas come out all together? So this is a survival strategy. It's called predator satiation. If we all come out at the same time, they can't eat all of us. So some of us are gonna survive and reproduce. So what eats cicadas? Everything. Mammals, squirrels love them, raccoons love them, dogs and cats. Some humans. Yep. We've got some popcorn fried cicadas there. I've heard they taste like whatever you cook them with. So I've heard taste like canned asparagus or fried popcorn, or they kind of take on the taste of whatever. Up there in the top right, that's called a cicada killer wasp. They actually will take the cicada into their burrow, and the larvae will feed on it. But man, when I was driving around Knoxville, cicadas would get on the road, and you'd see birds flying all over the place, picking them up. And my dogs loved them too. All of our backyard was covered in like dog poop. It was pretty gross. But yeah, so everything loves to eat them. They're just a big boom and bust feast for these animals, and so they all try to come out pretty close to the same time and leave some of them to reproduce. So that first wave that comes out in those first few days, they all get eaten. They won't survive, but then the ones that come later, the animals are all just full up, tired of eating cicadas, and they give them a little break. So. And then the other big question is why in the world do they take so long? 13 years. There's one of the longest lived insects, 13 and 17 years. So one of the theories about this is that it's 13 and 17 are prime numbers. So it's hard for animals, their predators, to synchronize their own reproduction. So you've always got, no other animal really reproduces every 13 years around here, maybe whales or something like that. But so yeah, it's hard to sync that up. If they were doing it every other year, you could do like bears do, and every other year have cubs. But 13 and 17 years, that's tough to match. And then the other thing, some folks think that maybe it goes back to the glaciation, the ice age, when the conditions were really harsh. It didn't really pay to be above ground all that much, so they would spend a long time in between broods, and that would give them more of a chance, and it would also keep them from hybridizing with the annual cicadas. So by those long periods in between reproduction, that gave them some advantage. Actually, the 17-year species, you can see where the glaciers were. They're more in the northern areas where we had ice. The 13-year species are more in the deep south, the Midwest, kind of that Oklahoma, Missouri, that area. So this was a video on my porch back in April. So we're gonna go through the whole life cycle, and then at the end we'll take some questions and talk about the emergence that we're gonna have here in a couple years. So that was April 28th, I believe, and toward the end of April, actually it used to be in May was when they come out, but they're starting to come out earlier and earlier as the things get warmer. So I was kind of watching the temperature, and we'll get to that in a minute, but when it reaches a certain temperature, they all start to come out together. So this is one, it's still inside its shell. It hasn't shed its skin yet. This is like probably 10 minutes after it came out of the ground. So they start out as eggs. The female cuts slits in tree branches about the size of a pencil, and she'll lay her eggs in there. She'll put about 30 eggs in a slit, and so they'll stay in there for about a month or so before they hatch out. And when they come out, they're tiny, and again, everything likes to eat them. Spiders, ants, all sorts of things. So they're gonna drop off of those tree branches and go into the soil as fast as they can, wriggle down in there. And this is called a nymph. It's the nymph stage. But yeah, so the very first thing they want to do is get down into the soil. So they'll shed their skin actually, and they'll go through 5 different stages of growing, shedding, for 17 years, or 13 in some cases. So here's a couple of the different. So we've got the eggs on the top left, the nymphs, they grow bigger. This is like, bottom left is like a teenager when they emerge, and then they'll split their skin, and then they're officially an adult once they come out of that last instar. What are they doing down there for 17 years? They are feeding on tree roots. So they actually, like we said, they don't have mouth parts like a beetle or something else. They have a big straw, and they stick that into roots of plants. When they're little, it's just grass and flowers, forbs, and things like that. As they get bigger, closer to the adult stage, they'll actually start to drink from tree roots and tap into the trees. And as the trees are pulling that the water and the minerals up out of the ground, it's called xylem. And the cicadas are actually tapping into that and using that for their nourishment. So they don't eat any leaves or any kind of solid food. They just drink liquids.
More news is coming up in just a moment.
It's not invoice. It's not MSRP. It's not Christmas Day, although it may feel like it. It's the lowest prices in Middle Tennessee, period. It's a Stan McNabb Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or Stan McNabb Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac before these prices are gone forever.
All right, the cat's out of the bag at Carroll Street Liquor in Tullahoma. Now you know where to go if you're planning a get-together and want the ideal wine or spirit. Party planning can be stressful, but at Carroll Street Liquor you'll find everything you need. Mixers, gift sets, and all of your favorite spirit brands. So if you're feeling the pressure to pull off the ideal party, come to Carroll Street Liquor and select among the seemingly endless supply of wines, spirits, gift sets, and more. Your perfect party, it's in the bag with Carroll Street Liquors.
He's a little bit of you, he's a little bit of me. He's the trash along the roadside of Tennessee. He's the garbage that we find. He's the dream we left behind. Lord, there ain't no lower class than Tennessee trash. A throwaway bottle or pop-top can may not seem much to a traveling man, but a little bit of litter goes a long, long way. And I grow and get bigger every day. Tennessee trash messing up the highways. Tennessee trash jumping up the byways. Lord, there ain't no lower class than Tennessee trash. Lord, there ain't no lower class than Tennessee trash.
We have met the enemy, and he is us.
Welcome back. Just after our Tuesday newscast was shot, Bonnaroo owners Live Nation announced that they were canceling the once again sold-out festival due to heavy rains, leaving thousands of Bonnaroovians in a lurch as they waited around the area to get in line to go onto the grounds or as they were driving cross-country. This is the post on Bonnaroo's website announcing the cancellation. Quote, "We are absolutely heartbroken to announce that we must cancel Bonnaroo. While this weekend's weather looks outstanding, currently Centeroo is waterlogged in many areas, the ground is incredibly saturated on our toll booth paths, and the campgrounds are flooded to the point that we are unable to drive in or park vehicles safely. We have done everything in our power to try to keep the show moving forward, but Mother Nature has dealt us a tremendous amount of rain over the past 24 hours, and we have run out of options to try to make the event happen safely and in a way that lives up to the Bonnaroo experience. Please find ways to safely gather with your Bonnaroo community and continue to radiate positivity during this disappointing time. We will see you on the farm in June of 2022. All tickets purchased through Front Gate Tickets will be refunded in as little as 30 days to the original method of payment," end quote. The Manchester Chamber of Commerce and several other entities have whipped together some shows to help replace heartbroken fans with some live music options. The most notable is called The Other Fest, which is happening at several locations in Manchester. We'll let you know about the fate of Bonnaroo as more news is released. The Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency is concerned with the welfare of many different forms of wildlife in Tennessee. In this video, we see how they are helping the endangered Indiana bat.
So tonight, as part of the monitoring on this property, we're going to count the bats that fly out of the roost. Well, we're on a farm in Wilson County, Tennessee, and we have artificial Indiana bat roosts out here that we installed in the winter of 2019, early spring of 2020. The natural roosts for Indiana bats are 99% of the time dead trees with sloughing bark. So the tree dies and the bark pops up, and that crevice in between the bark and the tree is where the Indiana bats roost during the day, and that's where they have their pups too.
This side definitely had more bats emerging from it, but all the bark is gone off that side.
But unfortunately, that bark tends to fall off within a year or two. They're typically only usable for 1 year, occasionally 2 years. These artificial roosts that we've set up, we hope that they can last 10 years and maybe even longer. Yeah, Indiana bats are federally endangered. They're protected under the Endangered Species Act, and they were initially listed back in 1967, one of the first mammals actually listed on the Endangered Species Act. We selected this location because back in 2013, 14, and 15, we tracked Indiana bats on their spring migration from a cave in right outside of Sparta, and they selected dead trees on this farm as maternity colonies. We installed 15 of the artificial bark structures called Brandon bark and 9 of the rocket boxes, which are more of the traditional wooden bat roosts, and so far we've had good success. These artificial roosts, they also allow us the opportunity to do research.
And then this is a guano catcher. So as bats use the roost, when they defecate, this catches their feces. We collect it to look at different species and then potentially what their diet is.
So in the winter, for Indiana bat conservation, we can focus on protecting caves. And that's a big deal because about 85% of all Indiana bats in the world only use about 13 or 14 caves. But in the summer, it's a little more challenging to find where they are. And it's also harder to conserve, a roost tree that's only going to last a year. So hopefully by having these up, even if they're only used in the spring and the fall as secondary roost, it's going to help the Indiana bats, and it's going to provide that roost tree consistently every year. The population here in Wilson County of Indiana bats is pretty low. We had about 120 bats in Wilson County that we knew of. And this is how we know how many bats are actually using the artificial roost, by counting them as they fly out.
We'll be right back after these messages.
It is wonderful living here. I don't have responsibilities of a house. I don't have all the work that goes with a house. And you can just relax here and be happy.
There's no set thing that you have to do. However, the offerings that they give you, it's wonderful.
I think the biggest thing about Parkview that is most significant to me is that we are family.
The Bookshelf in Tullahoma is the fundraising arm of the Coffee County Literacy Council. Since 1988, the Literacy Council's goal and purpose has been to support and promote adult basic education in Coffee County. We enable individuals to complete their high school equivalency exam, which helps them get better jobs or continue into higher education. The Bookshelf at 114 Southwest Atlantic Street in Tullahoma is where we sell used books, which are donated to us by the community. Come see us, bring your books to donate, and join us as you find every genre of books that you can imagine.
We tend to lose our motivation when we have something that's chronic, but you've got to do what you can early on as you can. After I'd exercise like that, I would have a lot of energy to do housework or whatever I needed. Well, I would recommend it highly to anyone at any degree of Parkinson.
Let us champion your recovery. Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
I was skeptical about getting the COVID-19 vaccine. There are a lot of opinions being shared. But I had the chance to talk with my doctor about my concerns. He told me the vaccines are backed by decades of research, and that the vaccines are proven safe and effective. Now I'm protected and ready to put this pandemic behind us. Join the millions of Tennesseans who have decided to give COVID-19 vaccines a shot. Visit covid19.tn.gov to find an appointment today.
Welcome back. Confederate Railroad will be performing a free concert at the Bluegill Grill on Monday, September 6th at 7 p.m. to celebrate the end of summer. Confederate Railroad was founded in 1987 in Marietta, Georgia by Danny Shirley, Michael Lamb, Mark Dufresne, Chris McDaniel, Warren Gates Nichols, and Wayne Seacrest. After serving as a backing band for outlaw country acts David Allan Coe and Johnny Paycheck, the band signed to a recording contract with Atlantic Records, releasing their self-titled debut album that year. A Confederate Railroad concert today covers a wide range of feelings. Young people will be there rocking to Trashy Women, while their parents and even grandparents will likely be singing along to Jesus and Mama. The band plays 100 or so dates each year. At the end of each show, the band stays around until every fan who wants an autograph or to pose with the group for a picture. The Bluegill Grill, owned since 2002 by David Patton and Steve Smith, operates 5 docks as well as the seasonal restaurant. They throw a concert every year after Labor Day to celebrate the end of the season and show their appreciation for all of their customers and boat friends. Doors open at 4 p.m. and no reservations are taken. And stay with us, we'll have your weather forecast coming up after these messages.
The food at Parkview, well, I haven't had a bad meal there yet.
The food at Parkview is absolutely scrumptious. I mean, it is really good. It's just like home cooking.
And then there are the cookies. Oh my, they bake cookies every day and they are super.
The food is truly incredible, and it's like being on a cruise ship.
Suicide prevention starts with everyday heroes like you. Join us on September 18th at Manchester Rotary Park at 9 a.m. as we walk to fight suicide and raise awareness about mental health. Be a part of the movement turning hope into action and create a culture that's smart about mental health. Funds raised at the walk will benefit the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Sign up at afsp.org/Coffee County.
Welcome back. We'll take a look at your weather forecast at this time, starting with your weather history on this day. Our record high was in 1953 at 97 degrees. The record low was 1987 at 47 degrees. The average high for this day is 85 and the average low is 64. Mostly clear for tonight with a low of 57. Sunny skies for Friday with a high of 83 and a low of 61, and continued sunny skies for Saturday, a high of 84 and a low of 64. And that's our News Leader Report for this evening. We invite you to join us each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday evenings at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. for News Leader on 6. Stay safe. Have a great evening.